Welcome to the AWE Breakfast Show featuring Epson. Here's your host, Sean Hannam.
Good morning. Yeah, welcome to the AWE Breakfast Show. That's right. My name is Sean Hannam, and I'm a freelance journalist, and I specialise in writing about tech, retail, and music. And I've been in this game for more than 20 years. I'm your host for this week's AWE Breakfast Show sessions at EI Live Interactive. So as part of this virtual week-long event for the home tech sector, I'm talking to industry representatives from brands including Sony, Ring, URC, Epson, Denon, Marantz, Definitive Technology from Sound United, LG, and also, of course, AWE. We'll be holding an interactive Q&A session with our guests towards the end of the show. That means you, the viewers, the listeners, can send in your questions for the panel during the programme. So get thinking about what you want to ask these guys. And in order to do that, you need to maximise your computer screen, go to the viewers control panel on the webinar platform where you can submit the questions during the show, and we'll discuss them with the panel towards the end of the session. Now, for this morning's half-an-hour session, I'm joined by representatives from Epson and AWE, and we're talking home cinema projectors. We're finding out more about some of the latest products from Epson, looking at why they're ideal for the home installation and integration sector, talking about Epson's success, and looking at some key trends in the market. Before we do that, I'd like to introduce my guests. So from Epson, we have Paul Wilson, Product Manager, and Chris Sullivan, who's Account Manager of Professional Displays. And joining us from AWE, we have James Drummy, Home Cinema Product Manager. Morning, guys.
Good morning, Sean.
How are we all?
Very well, thank you. Very good, very good.
Nearly the end of the week, not quite yet. So let's go through, find out first of all where you're joining us from. So Paul, where are you this morning?
I'm in rainy Hemel Hempstead this morning. I've been at Epson for over 10 years now, so working with projectors all that kind of time really. Lots of familiarity across the broad range of Epson projectors. But yeah, working from home these days most of the time anyway. Yeah.
And Chris, where are you joining us from? I notice you've got some projectors handily behind you. That's almost like you'd planned that.
Well, no, these are just casually there, Sean, much to my wife's dismay. They're just little trinkets that I keep around the house.
So where are you this morning?
I'm joining from northwest Leeds, sort of near a town called Ilkley. Yeah. It's relatively sunny outside, believe it or not, for Yorkshire.
How long have you been locked down for? All year, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels that way, yeah. We've been locked down, we've been in various restrictions right the way throughout. It's been a little bit easier this time around because the kids are back at school. So homeschooling was a bit of a challenge first time around, but yeah, all good now.
Handy for projectors to get that homework up on the wall. You know, algebra never looked better, did it, than in 4K? And James, where are you from? Actually, I know this. These guys are from Epson, and you're from Epsom this morning because you're at AWE HQ, aren't you?
That's right. Yeah. So I'm here at HQ again today. Yeah, in the apartment again.
You've been there all week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen any of your family?
Well, not since March.
And can you tell us a little bit about Epson? Let's start off, Paul, I guess. Give us a little bit of in history, a bit about Epson. Tell us the kind of corporate overview of the company in as short a time as you can.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know how many people know it, of course, but Epson are a Japanese company. So sometimes people, for some reason, think we're American, maybe British, I don't know, but definitely a Japanese company, part of the wider Seiko Epson Corporation. So obviously Seiko watches. But on the Epson side, people very familiar with our imaging technologies in terms of printing, scanning as well. But actually projection is one of the core pillars of what we do at Epson. We've been making 3LCD projectors since 1989. Put out a press release just this week to say we've now sold over 30 million 3LCD projectors in that time.
Wow.
It's really been a phenomenal success. We've been the global #1 projector manufacturer since 2001. And if you look at the total projector market in the UK today, certainly anything above 1,000 lumens, so real world usage, Epson deliver over 40% of that market. So across the different areas from home cinema and business products, installation, theatre, big production, projection mapping onto buildings, you name it, Epson do it.
Oh, and James, can you tell us a little bit about AWE? 30 million products or not got that many just yet?
Well, we didn't do all of those, but a couple of months we've certainly done our fair share of projectors. The market accelerated right now, and quite frankly, if Epson could supply us more, we would be selling more. Having said that, we have got huge forward orders on, so yes, supply is a little limited, but there is still product coming in regularly. So we're actually doing okay at the moment.
Yeah, and can you tell us a little bit about AWE, James, in a nutshell, about what it does and what you guys get up to?
So AWE, we're a distribution company specialising in the custom install sector. We've been around for 85 years, but 20 of which we've been distributing in the CI world, and I've been with AWE 15 plus of those. We're not quite sure what the plus is on there anymore. I've lost count.
So let's Paul, can you give us an overview of some of the kind of key products in the home cinema projector range, and the products particularly that will appeal to the home integration market, the premium pro models, which is what we're here really to talk about today, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. So like I say, Epson has an incredible breadth of product across different spaces that we operate in. There are a general portfolio of kind of retail and e-tail projectors, maybe your first time buy, standard throw, multi-purpose, occasional use type kit that we're not really going to touch on today. But outside of that, in the more specific custom install market, we've got a couple of different areas to look at. At the top on the screen is our newly branded Epic Vision range. So these are more lifestyle type projectors where Epson are trying to be a little bit more creative about how can we encourage people to adopt projection, maybe in place of a TV, maybe alongside a TV, but bring projection into your house maybe for the first time. And that's things like the mini portable projectors, the Epson Fun type series, for children and family entertainment, and then the screenless TV type approach that we've seen a number of manufacturers kind of start moving towards in recent years to say, well, actually, you can very easily have an 80, 100-inch TV type screen just without a TV and achieve that with projection instead. Some really nice options in that range, particularly if you're limited in space or only want to use the projector from time to time. At the bottom of the screen, you've then got the more dedicated home cinema room installation type products. The more basic range, the TW7000 type series, slightly lower cost, but all of these products use Epson's 4K Pro UHD, so that's the 4K enhancement technology. It's a really nice range of products then from 1300, and then as you go up to the Pro Home Cinema side, up to 2899 for the TW9400W. And it's those products on the right-hand side, the true Pro Home Cinema models, that have all the features that you'd expect for custom installation, wide lens shift range, fully powered optics, ISF calibration, HDR compatible, etc. So those are the real run rate type products that James enjoys as soon as he can get his hands on. They go back out the door of AWE at the minute, and the orders are certainly queuing up for Christmas.
You've picked up quite a few awards for these, aren't you? Some of the hi-fi awards, I know.
Yeah, they tend to attach themselves to good products and stick by them for a period of time. So the TW9400's been an award winner for a couple of years running now in its category. The TW7100 has just picked up the overall award winner for Best Projector of the Year 2020. And that's just what hi-fi. If you look around the web, look at the different trade magazines, etc., there's a lot of fantastic awards and really great reviews about these products out there. And certainly for us, the TW9400 over the couple of years that we've had it has just been a phenomenal success.
And what's the sort of appeal for some of these products to installers? Are they some of the things like you sort of features like great lens shifting, very flexible for installation, I guess? Is that the case?
Yeah, there's very few products that can touch the range of shift that we've got on these products, and that's something we've had for all the previous ancestors, and it's something that installers absolutely love. You can't always put the projector where you want it. So fully motorized optics on the products these days. You've got lens memories on there if you need to use it for different kind of setups, different configurations. Yeah, the shift range on there is kind of unbeatable. And even if you are using the product ad hoc, as I sometimes do at home in my smaller house, having that lens shift on hand is a great help for getting the picture where you want it.
I know there are two models that are available as part of a selected distribution agreement, aren't there, as well? Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What's the kind of thinking behind that, and how does that work?
Yeah, we SDS stands for Selective Distribution System. We introduced that to the range back in 2011, and it basically ensures a set of standards criteria to ensure that the brand and the product are represented and sold, supported in the right manner. I guess the benefits to the integrators and the dealers, A, is access to an award-winning product. B, better margin, C, better support and training. And it's almost become kind of an exclusive club. You know, the product isn't anywhere and everywhere on the internet. You know, we're trying to recognize those integrators that are offering a value add service to their customers. So if there are any prospective resellers sort of watching that like more information on becoming an SDS dealer, then either, you know, approach myself or James or AWE.
Yeah, we sort of touched about how flexible these products are. So there's obviously a wide range of products. Do you get kind of unusual requests from installers for kind of quirky kind of installations? And if so, how can you kind of meet those requirements? Do you want to talk a bit about that, Chris?
Yeah, we do get odd requests from time to time, probably more so as a result of lockdown.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think I explained my role previously, but Paul and I have a foot in both the Pro Home Cinema Camp and the commercial environment. So the unit behind me is actually a Laser Pro product. And what we're actually seeing is a little bit of crossover now between the two market sectors. So for example, home cinema integrators are inquiring about Pro products because they've got awkward throw ratios, or they're putting a projector into a swimming pool and they need a higher brightness output than the home cinema projectors will provide. Conversely, we're getting Pro partners, Pro customers that are getting residential inquiries, or we're getting weird and wonderful examples whereby things like artists have a preference for the black levels that a home cinema unit would offer. So we've got a range of TW9400s actually sat in an art gallery in Manchester right now doing an art installation.
Well, right, yeah.
So, and there's other things as well, golf simulators, man caves, you know, garden cinema was a feature we sort of ran through the summer. Where
yeah, of course, yeah, when pubs were open as well and people doing things and all barbecues for films, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife.
I like the idea of watching a projector in a swimming pool. I'm trying to think if we could, probably Jaws would be quite popular with that. Maybe Cocoon, Titanic, all the favourites, Poseidon Adventure.
Yeah, my wife was really keen to have a cinema in the garden, so actually used a Epson 7100 for that. It's actually for all of the products in the Epson home cinema range, that's the one for garden cinema. It's got speakers built in as well, so it's literally plonked it out, put a sheet up on the back wall, and put our Roku stick in the back of it, and we literally had movies in the garden straight away with sound.
That's great. Paul, you touched on Epson's proprietary technology earlier in passing, the 3LCD projector tech. Can you tell us a bit more about that and some of the benefits it gives to consumers?
Yeah, it's a technology we've had throughout all of our product range since day one of existence with Epson. So it's something we believe in and hang our hat on very much as a selling point. So 3LCD quite simply uses 3 separate LCD panels for the red, green and blue elements of the projected image. So that means that those colors are concurrent on screen. You've got a full color image all of the time. So you don't get any of the potential kind of flicker or rainbow effects that you might get with other technologies that use sequential imaging onto the screen. And you get very high color brightness and brightness output full stop from those products. So probably a key benefit of even the TW9400 series is the brightness of those. They're not just set aside to be used in a cave type fully blackout environment. They can be used in a living room type scenario, which is something we're seeing more and more these days with people working from home, people having to share the spaces at home a lot more carefully to avoid ructions in the household, and actually having a product that can blend in. So we've got the white version, the 9400W, can blend into a more of a living room environment acceptably, and be used, whether that's for the sports that we're all unfortunately having to sit at home instead of using our season tickets in the grounds at the minute, or whether it is for your new Disney Plus subscription, or that back catalogue of Blu-rays and DVDs you've been bought over the years and never got around to watching. So there's a lot of different usage now for those products. And yeah, with the black levels we can achieve, they're great in a fully darkened environment where you might go the full works with seating, with the audio, the acoustics in there. But equally, these are products that can be used in a more of a living room or media room type setup.
Okay. Now, in the current Epson range, you don't have a native 4K projector, do you? Can you tell us a little bit about why that is, and is there any plans to kind of introduce a one at a later date?
Yeah, I think you see with Epson that we certainly look after mass market technologies, and we want to bring the right products to the market at the time when the wide demand is there. The success of the 9400 proves that 4K still isn't essential, and with the 4K enhancement feature on there, you're still getting what we see as an affordable product in a relatively compact chassis that can deliver better than full HD resolution, but within a sensible budget. And unfortunately, not everybody has £5,000–10,000 to go and lay out on a projector. So this ticks the boxes for a larger percentage of people. But that said, we're always developing technology. There's always a huge quantity of engineers working in the background in Japan on elements, not just resolution. You know, we look at how can we continue to improve black levels whilst also boosting brightness. How can we bring HDR effectively into projection? How can we improve the look and feel of products and maybe reduce chassis sizes down to make them more acceptable for different spaces? So there's lots of elements of development. Chris has touched on the more professional range for business installation and events. Within that range, we do have a native 4K laser powered projector at 12,000 lumens. It's a real flagship in that range. So of course the technologies are there. We'll look at these, and when the time is right, hopefully we can, you know, incorporate new technologies in the future. But for now, we're quite happy with the niche that we're operating in.
Do the technologies kind of tend to filter down from one department to another? Does it work like that, Epson? If you know, is it obviously something gets developed and then it becomes more mainstream?
Yeah, we've seen it both ways over the years, to be honest. Yeah. Sometimes we've trialed and tested bits in home cinema first that have then gone into those other commercial avenues, and maybe at the minute it's the other way around, where we've seen growing demand for 4K in certain, again, very niche installations. Even in the commercial world, there's very few customers out there that come to us and say they need 4K. A few think that they do, and then we offer the 4K pixel shift equivalent, and that's more than good enough to fit the budget, to fit the chassis size required. So for us, the demand for 4K is still limited, but we certainly don't want to knock it. And of course, it's something I'm sure we'll look at even more in future.
Yeah, James, I'd like to bring you in now and talk a bit about the kind of relationship that AWE has with Epson, and how can AWE customers get involved, and what's your kind of partnership like, James, with the brand?
Yeah, so all of our CI dealers have got access to the retail product, and then of course we have the SDS, the selective distribution agreements for the Pro Home Cinema range. Once you are a Pro Home Cinema dealer, what actually happens there is, as well as you having your usual contact at AWE, Chris here also becomes your Epson rep, so you actually have a direct contact at Epson as well. We also offer an awful lot of training. So in these COVID times, I'm doing home cinema projection online training every week. I think it's Fridays for home cinema. So if you go to the smarthomeacademy.co.uk website, you can actually register for our home cinema projector technology training.
Okay. What about things like after sales support and things like warranties? Because that's obviously really important for both the consumer and also the installer and the retailer. Who wants to kind of touch on that? Chris, talk a bit about that.
I'll answer that one, Sean. Yeah. With the TW9400, TW9400W, the standard warranty is 2 years on the hardware, 3 years on the lamp, or 3,000 hours, whichever comes first. We do offer an upgrade pack via AWE, which would bump the hardware warranty up to 5 years. So the cost of that roughly to the reseller is about £68, and that effectively is sold like it's like buying a projector. You just bolt that on as you purchase the unit. In terms of the rest of the home cinema range that sits below is the consumer range of home cinema products. Typically, again, it's 2 years hardware and 3 years lamp, unless you're looking at the laser products, and they vary from product to product, but you're probably looking at 5 years, 12,000 hours on some of those products there.
Right. We touched on lockdown earlier and the kind of COVID effect, but let's sort of move away from sort of product specific stuff and talk a bit some more general trends. What effect have you guys seen that COVID's had on the business initially, and I guess also on people's buying habits and on, you know, the home cinema projector market?
Now, shall I grab this one, Paul?
Yeah, go for it.
What we've seen, Sean, really is it's taken out a degree of seasonality. Usually from about April time through to August, we do see you know, a drop off to a degree. You know, the peak times for us are usually sort of September through April. What we've seen this year is a huge spike. People are sat in their own homes. They're looking around at how they can improve their homes, their houses. They're looking at how they can improve their entertainment experiences. So we've seen a real spike across the board of all our home cinema projectors during that time.
Yeah, it's interesting because you sort of mentioned earlier, Paul, about the kind of different installations, and Chris as well talked about, and uses for projectors at the moment. So I guess what's important to get across is there's a lot of flexibility. It's not always just about having a dedicated home cinema room or a media room, is it? There's more sort of family friendly environments where you can put a projector rather than just a middle-aged man hiding himself away in a dark room. Do you answer that one, Paul?
Talking middle-aged men hiding away. No, I think at the minute we've seen that whether these trends continue, who knows now, but you've got movie releases coming direct to home. You've got kind of football where you're having to watch it at home or you can't see it at all. Got massive increase in streaming and lots of different platforms for that now. So the options for your entertainment at home and ease of delivery and access to catalogs and catalogs of content is huge. I've been tucking into Mandalorian, having relaunched again. That's a pretty good kind of family show to get into. And I think with the home and with people working from home at the minute, it's quite important to have spaces that you can switch off into. So it's very easy to kind of bleed on into the evenings. You're still working 6-7 o'clock and you no longer go home physically, you're already at home. So to have a different room that you can step into that is your escape, it is your relax, you switch off from work, you can be there by yourself, you can be with your family, whichever. That's really important, I think, maybe even for people's mental health, to have that clean break from work and do something different for a couple of hours later in the day or at the weekends.
Yeah, where do you guys see the kind of projector market heading in a post-COVID world? I know it's difficult to make predictions of things, but what's on the horizon? I guess I'm asking for your future projections. Sorry about that.
Yeah, very good, very good. We kind of touched on it earlier that there'll be continuing evolution of the product range in different areas. So of course, the most premium products, we just want to make them as good as possible to keep getting these great awards for products in the future. But then you see things like Epic Vision, and Epson as the leading projector manufacturer has to not just kind of sit back and let the same type of business happen, but look at where else can projection be used. If people are saying no to projection, what are the obstacles? Why can't you fit a projector into that house or that room? Okay, let's flip that around, see how we can do that. What form factor of product do we need? What throw ratio on the projector do we need? Do people hate changing lamps? Okay, let's look at laser technology. So there's an awful lot we can do to remove those objections and grow the projector market full stop.
I guess one of the things you sort of touched on earlier is it's not always just about the resolution either. There's other things, isn't there? So brightness, black levels, that kind of thing to achieve that kind of perfect picture.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll never reach perfection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we often, I mean, the TV market drives, this fascination with resolution. We're up at 8K now, aren't we? I think.
Yeah.
But the image quality
on air, I'm not sure. Yeah.
Image quality isn't just about resolution, and as we alluded to earlier, it's about signal processing quality, brightness, quality of the lens, contrast ratios, quality of the source content. All of that goes into making a good quality image. Of course, resolution is important, but it's about getting that all-round package really to deliver a good image.
We've got about 5 minutes left, so we're going to take some questions in a minute. But before we do that, I'd like to just ask you guys some more kind of less industry-specific questions. But you touched on kind of like content and watching Blu-rays and watching kind of films and movies during lockdown. I've got to ask you guys, have you got a favourite film? So let's start with you, James. I'll bring you in on this one. What's your favourite film?
Favourite film? I've always said it's sort of Leon would be one of my favourite movies of all time. But recently, for watching on big screen, the Marvel action movies, I've been binging that since getting Disney Plus. So I've actually gone through the entire of the Marvel Cinematic Universe films in order. So that's been quite a binge across the summer.
Cool. What about yourself, Chris? What's your favourite film?
I'd like to be really cool and say something like Fargo, but it's probably something as bad as Weekend at Bernie's or something.
Yeah. It makes us all clamouring for that holiday and to get out and do stuff, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about you, Paul?
Oh, I think mine's quite an eclectic mix. Obviously, you know, in terms of big action stuff, the Dark Knight trilogy for me was a real benchmark of kind of audio and visual quality. But in terms of just tucking into something to enjoy, give me Pitch Perfect any day. Give me We Bought a Zoo. We Bought a Zoo is my ideal life, I think. Just suddenly finding that I own a zoo, I've got these animals, and what a fantastic world to live in.
Yeah, and have you guys been enjoying some current stuff as well on projectors, and you know what are you kind of into at the moment? How have you been getting through lockdown?
I think similar to James, we've had Disney Plus on quite regularly. The wife's got through the Marvel Cinematic Universe about two times over, I think. Mandalorian, I mentioned earlier, it's nice to have new content as well, so that's been great to have that back on recently. And even on BBC, bless her, his Dark Materials season 2 that just started recently again, that's been really good to get back into. So there's more than enough choice, that's for sure.
Cool. We're now going to go over to our roving reporter, Mal Fisher at AWE, to see what kind of questions we've got in from the listeners and the viewers today. So, hi Mal, morning.
Good morning, thanks. Yes, we do.
Have we had any questions for our panel that have come in from the outside world?
We do. We've got quite a lot, so I'm going to cherry pick a couple of them, and then we'll get back to some people individually, so we're a little bit short on time. But Mike asks, can you explain a bit more about the LS500 projector and how it differs from other market offerings that boast similar features or install possibilities?
Cool. Yeah, so I think again it's got that Epson benefit of the 3LCD technology. So certainly the other products that I'm aware of on that kind of screenless TV space, a lot of those are still using single chip DLP technology. So the benefits of color brightness and zero rainbow effects on the Epson offering are really important. And of course, in terms of specification, it is a laser-based product. It is a 4K enhanced product as well. So it certainly sits above the LS300 as the premium offering in the Epson range. And funnily enough, we've actually got a unit set up in our office. It runs all day long when we are allowed in. We walk past our little setup home area. It's running the news all day long. It's quite good to watch during the US elections, but it does catch my eye every time. And every time I see it, the product looks nice, the image looks nice, and I think that's something I could have in a future living room setup. I'd be quite on board with that.
Any other questions, Mel?
Yeah, we'll go with one more. How does it gain SDS status? Got that one in.
Sorry, Mal, how do we gain it? How does a dealer gain SDS status?
That's right.
It's simply a case of either approaching myself or the guys at AWE, expressing interest. A spreadsheet will be sent to you, which you can fill in some basic forms. Once that's completed and sent back, we will send some legal documentation out to you. The process itself is relatively quick these days. We can probably get that done within 24 hours. Yeah, simple as that, really.
One of the great things we offer to those dealers is demo unit pricing as well. So the idea would be for dealers to have their own demo units, have their premises that they can bring customers into, show the kit off and prove how good they are.
I guess, James, people can get in contact with you guys at AWE and you know, to talk through details, and also training you mentioned is really important as well, isn't it? So we touched on that earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're always here to help. The phones are being answered, despite the fact that with lockdown we've got very few people in the office. We actually do have a full sales team available right now. So just call the usual numbers and you'll be able to get hold of us straight away.
Great. Well, we're coming up to the end of the show. So before we go, I'd like to thank my guests. So thanks, Paul and Chris from Epson and James from AWE. I've learned a lot about projectors this morning. Don't forget to listen in live to the rest of the AWE Breakfast Show from EI Live Interactive this week, or you can access the ones that have been on already from earlier in the week via the catch-up service. I'm going to go off and enjoy the Marvel Universe now, I think, because I've got nothing else to do for the rest of the day. So thanks. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you for watching the AWE Breakfast Show.